Wiesbaden in Germany and the Ducal Palace of Schloss Biebrich play host to the first ever continental leg of the Event Rider Masters. 75% of our field make their Masters debut. There are 26 riders, 10 nations, but there can be only one winner. This is the Event Rider Masters. Welcome to the Event Rider Masters 2017. Now in its second year, this is the ultimate eventing series, spanning 7 events in 7 iconic locations across Britain and Europe, culminating at Blenheim Palace, where the series champion will be crowned. Leg 2 of the 2017 series takes us to the magnificent Biebrich Palace in Wiesbaden, Germany. The Baroque Schloss Park has hosted international horse shows for 81 years, and its history will continue to evolve as the Event Rider Masters heads to Germany for the first time. Competition will be fierce as 25 of the world's very best international horses and riders will be battling it out over the next 2 days for a podium spot and precious points on the series leaderboard here at the Internationales Wiesbadener Pfingstturnier. This stellar field of eventing superstars will be showcasing the finest in equestrianism and tested to their limits across the 3 classic eventing disciplines. From the style and grace of dressage, to the precision and accuracy of show jumping, to the power and adrenaline of cross-country in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize. This is the Event Rider Masters.
Welcome to Wiesbaden. Germany are a powerhouse in equestrian sport, so it's only fitting that the first European leg in the Event Rider Masters series is here at the iconic location of Biebrich Palace. While the dressage yesterday took place in front of the palace, the cross-country this afternoon, it runs in the beautiful grounds of the Schloss Park. Well, the crowds have been piling in here throughout the day, and despite a thunderstorm, they have not been at all deterred after that short, sharp rainfall. But here in the studio, we are absolutely looking forward to all of the action as it is going to unfold live here in Wiesbaden. So thank you very much for joining us. Joining me in the studio, Irish International Event Rider Padraig McCarthy, and from Echo Ratings, Dermot Byrne as well. And we've had an exciting morning of show jumping. We're going to relive all of the action shortly. But just sum up the weekend so far in a couple of words for us.
In a couple of words, Ingrid Klimke.
Of course it is.
If you want more than that, look, she's delivered a great dressage test. SAP Escada has been here before, has won before, has finished on her dressage score twice. It's all been about Escada. I hope that it stays that way and we have our first German winner.
Well, just to remind us of her dressage test, let's take a look at those highlights and how all of the action unfolded yesterday.
Welcome to Wiesbaden, Germany for the second leg of the Event Rider Masters 2017. Day 1 and the dressage took place in beautiful sunshine in front of the magnificent Biebrich Palace on the banks of the River Rhine.
The Don and I arrived yesterday, and I think we're both completely gobsmacked.
It's my first time riding the Event Rider Masters series. You get lots of support, people standing very tight, cheering at you, so I think it will lift us up and we make the best out of it, and I hopefully will be somewhere in the top at the end.
Competition was tight and the judging strict, and very few riders knocked on the door of a sub-40 score. In the end, it was the German riders who made the most of the home field advantage in this opening phase. Young Olympic silver medalist Julia Krajewski and Chipmunk were the first duo to break the sub-40 mark, scoring 36.2. But it was compatriot Ingrid Klimke on SAP Escada who took top spot with an overnight score of 34.6.
I was really pleased because she did a wonderful job. She's always coming in the ring and says, here I am. So she came in, but she was very good listening. I could really ride her easy, and she was very supple and through and content. So I will definitely try to finish with my dressage score.
Well, that is how the dressage unfolded, but it is jumping day today, and the show jumping took place in the main arena here in Wiesbaden, and here is what happened out on course.
Show jumping is a very special arena. We see it's really big, lots of trees. It's not what we're normally used to. Normally quite difficult to keep the horses concentrated on you and not looking at the spectators.
I think the key is keeping tight lines without sacrificing the balance and the rhythm. So still unknown yet, but it'll be interesting to see how the early riders cope with it. But quite a difficult track for our eventers.
The track, designed by Frank Rothenberger and his assistant Christian Weigand, asked challenging questions of the riders as they look to achieve that important clear round. The biggest shake-up of the phase was Julia Krajewski. An expensive 12 penalty points saw her slip to 5th overall. This opened up the gap for Italian rider Stefano Brecciaroli and British rider Sarah Cohen to leapfrog into 2nd and 3rd respectively, following great clear rounds. But it was German eventing superstar Ingrid Klimke who maintained her advantage here in Wiesbaden. One down, but she heads into the final cross-country as our Event Rider Masters leader.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard and how things stand after the first phase here in Wiesbaden. Leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters. That pole for Ingrid Klimke, well, she keeps her position at the top of the leaderboard. 9 seconds in hand of Italian Stefano Brecciaroli and Apollo van der Wenderkert over 42.6. But it is tight at the top, particularly on the podium between 2nd and 3rd Sarah Cohen and Treason. A cross-country combination that are always very reliable. They'll be looking to build on that and put in a good position this afternoon. Well, further down the leaderboard, Jörg Kerbel in 9th. He climbed from 18th with that clear in the show jumping. Bill Levitt for Australia, Shannon Dale, Titan, and they added 9 in the show jumping. An expensive round for them. Carlos Parro, the Brazilian, Calcourt Landline. Carlos, actually, news just coming through that he has withdrawn. So 2 uncharacteristic poles for him in the show jumping, and he's decided to call it a day and save that very promising horse for another occasion. A couple of other withdrawals for you. Flora Riemsma and Dr. Martina Riemsma, they've both withdrawn, along with our first Mexican, Anabel Garrido Viveros. So 4 combinations in total have withdrawn. Now, Porrig, we've had quite a dramatic thunderstorm. I think European thunderstorms certainly know how to do it properly. Lots of thunder and lightning. The ground is going to be very slippy. We've had a couple of fences taken out. We'll go through those for you in just a moment. But what can we expect with that this afternoon?
I think we're going to see a different approach from the riders. I'm sure I spoke to a couple of them, and they've been out on course since the rain just to get a feel for how the ground looks. They feel that it's going to make a big difference. They're going to have to be much more careful in the corners. The problem when you get a lot of rain on ground that's very firm is that it doesn't soak in, and it becomes a bit like an ice skating ring. And because this is a very twisty track, I think they really have to take care in the turns.
Take care with it.
Yeah.
And the time here at Wiesbaden, it's a very twisty track, as we'll talk a lot about, and the time is fairly influential.
The time is influential. Looking at last year, Nicole, we actually had the very same situation. It's only really when you're here that you begin to appreciate how powerful that thunderstorm was. You know, the thunder rolled, the lightning strike, Nicole. It's going to be influential, I feel. I think, but we did see it again. We did see it last year. So again, that experience of people who've been here before is going to be important.
Well, the cross country is going to be influential, and let's take a closer look at it.
On the flat parkland of the Schloss Park in Wiesbaden, Rüdiger Schwarz has set out a 3,325-metre track, giving us an optimum time of 5 minutes and 50 seconds. 28 obstacles, 35 jumping efforts. Our competitors will explode out of the start box over the first big tree trunk, and then the owl hole to this double of brush pyramids is the first big question. Coming up at fence 11 then is a Trakehner on a tight left-hand line to a big brush corner. Not much of a let-up over a big double of open oxes. At the water fence 16, they jump in over a big log, go through the carriage wash, and then jump these two really skinny brush arrowheads. A double of angled hedges at 20, looking to catch out the unwary at the 2/3 mark. They jump the hogs back and then come into the famous Wiesbaden arena for a figure of 8, incorporating no less than 7 more jumping efforts. They'll finish this cross-country under the full glare of the Pfingstturnier audience, and who will beat the clock and take the Event Rider Masters crown?
Well, these are the key facts and figures of the cross-country. 3,325 metres in total. The length, that optimum time is going to be 5 minutes and 50 seconds. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that. And the man in charge of the cross-country here is Rüdiger Schwarz. The first time he's designing an Event Rider Masters leg, and he is talking to John Kyle.
So thank you very much. I'm here with Rüdiger Schwarz. Rüdiger, the tension is on because your first horse is about to go out. Tell me the challenges, the difficulties of designing here at Wiesbaden.
Yeah, this is a special place here. We have not so big space, and for that you need, I think, special ideas. And the second thing is you have competitors from top to the young who begin in the 3-star. And it's not so easy to build a good 3-star here, but interesting is maybe to bring our sport closer to the people, to the public. And so you have to think how it's possible to make an interesting course where you can ride speed and where you have to collect your horses in some phases.
Yes, this is interesting. It sounds almost like you wish to be a trainer as well as a course designer. You are asking for the public's interest by designing nice complexes, but also the riders' interest by asking them to adjust and change their riding.
Yes, for me is you have big influence of the sport as course designer if you are a trainer. You can test many things in training with horses, what is possible, what is not possible, what we can ask to make the sport interesting and special for the public and rider. And on the second way, so bring courses that the horses can learn.
And finally, can you forecast and think how many clears do you think we'll have inside the time on your course?
Here I hope we have not more than 3 in time.
Not more than 3, okay. And maybe your choice for winner? Who do you think will win?
I think Ingrid.
Well done. Okay, thank you very much.
Well, Rüdiger thinks that Ingrid is going to win. Durham, we know, thinks that Ingrid is going to win, and it would be our first Event Rider Masters winner who has led from the first phase. So in a moment, we're going to be able to take a look at that running order. This is how it is going to unfold, and the riders will be coming forward in reverse order of merit. So the last horse crossing the line will be Ingrid Klimke, and we won't know the winner of leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters until Ingrid is finished. So key horses from there, Marcio George, Coronel, MCJ, that is definitely one to watch. Marcio George went very, very well at Chatsworth in leg 1. It is all about the series points. He could be a fast horse to watch across the country. So we'll be welcoming the first combination out on course very shortly indeed, and that will be Michel Moore, the Dutch horse, who will be about to get underway. And the crowds really have been piling in here. And Porrick, we're going to see the crowds gathering very, very closely to the string. How much is that going to put them off?
I think you become aware of it as you start, but to be honest, when you're in your full flight, it has a minimal effect on you as a rider. For sure it has an effect on the horses, I think, and it's something they definitely get used to because we don't see it this often, but I think once their blood is up and your blood is up, it's of minimal effect, I think.
And in terms of Rüdiger Schwarz courses, you've ridden them. What do they ride like?
I've just ridden Aachen, and it's a quite different animal to here, but he's an incredibly good builder. I'm surprised we haven't seen him building in England already, and I would definitely welcome that. He knows how to get the flow correct, and he knows how to ask questions. A very fair builder and a very, very intelligent builder.
We'll be looking forward to seeing how the course unfolds. And in terms of the time, how many do you think we're going to see make it, bearing in mind the torrential weather?
Well, Rudiger Sports said no more than 3. So I even think 3 is probably optimistic. I think you have a couple of horses in here that could do it. Treason is one that we'll be looking at from a Team GB point of view. I think they should be close to the time, very reliable jumpers. Don Janeiro will be hoping to do it, but I think the grey of Marcio, the thoroughbred, he's probably one of the fastest horses in the field. Of course, I'm not mentioning Ingrid because SAP Escada is the one that will do it.
Of course she will. Well, our first combination is on course, and we'll get our first glance of all of the action as it unfolds. So Michel Moore for Switzerland with his own The Dutch Horse. And this is the first real question on course, Park. Just talk us through this.
Well, it begins with an owl hole, and it's actually a very small opening for the horses. It rides a normal 3 strides or walks a normal 3 strides. I think it could end up a bit long. That's nice. And then 3 strides to the last element, which rode perfectly well. I think if the horses jump the owl hole well, they'll get through the rest of it very easily. If they duck a little bit, they'll make it a little bit long, but it's a nice question.
So Michel Moore and The Dutch Horse. They go on now to the middle section of the course. They'll turn back on themselves. A bit sticky there.
Yeah, he was. He backed off on him. I think he didn't expect to see the Liverpool under it. Again, there they have the option to go on an outside 5 or a direct 4. I think we'll see plenty going on the 4 strides, but that horse just backed off and left it impossible for him to get the 4 strides. It doesn't look like Michel is really pressing for the time. I think he's having a safe round here.
Well, it's an interesting observation, and it's one that the numbers back up, Padraig. They have 23 time penalties at Polare in the CIC 2-star recently, 19 at Barbary, 6.8 at Montelibretti, 34 at Buccolo. Lots of time penalties. Not a horse or rider that travel fast across the country.
And you can see there actually jumping into the crowd. The horse definitely got a little bit overawed and backed off, gave him an uncomfortable jump in. So that was an effect of the crowd, I think.
Now, this is one of the fences that has been changed. The ground jury well within their rights to make any changes that they feel necessary to the course. And with the torrential rain that we've had, just in the best interests of all of the combinations coming forward, because it is all about getting these horses home safely, they've just taken out the first element, that Trakehner there, and riders now take the alternative as the first option. They jump the ditch and then jump it through there like Michel Moore. And he's taking things steady, but so far the horse is responding to that.
The horse is going well. I think when I walked the course, my impression that it wasn't a dimensionally huge track. That fence that they've taken out was definitely one of the more difficult questions, and I think it's been a very fair option for the riders, given that the rain will have affected the ground. He's just a little bit sticky jumping out of that combination, but Michael did well to get him through it. He'll need to encourage him a little bit through the woods because he's got the water jump coming up shortly and he needs the horse to be confident there.
Well, clear of the St James's Place Wealth Management Oxes and swings right-handed now back into the wooded area before we'll see him coming to the SAP log into water, and it's an enormous log down into the carriage wash before 2 very tricky skinny triple brushes. So we'll watch Michel Moore through there. No jumping penalties so far. The clock is green at the moment, 2 minutes and 10 to get home. He is well down on the clock. We'll do a time check for him coming into the water.
He jumped in there very good. A little bit spooked to the left-hand side. Oh, he's had a run off the B part. I think it gets quite busy there because the horse has jumped from the line into the shade, and I don't think the horse, he didn't look like he expected it, and now he doesn't want to jump it. I think he's going to probably tip his hat.
Dare I say that was possibly coming? He didn't look as entirely committed.
No, and this is sometimes the problem. If you set out to have a nice easy spin, it doesn't work, and very nice of Michael there to give the horse a pat and encourage him. I don't think it was his day, but like I said, sometimes the best option, even if you don't want to be competitive, is try to attack the courses, because that's the way the course builder designs them. And if you go out there trying to have a comfortable spin, sometimes it doesn't work out. And if the horse feels that, and then they're also not fully committed to their job. But he'll have another day.
So he tips his hat, puts his hand up and decides to call it a day. A wise decision perhaps, but Michael Moore and the Dutch horse, they are our first combinations out on course here in Wiesbaden, leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters, and they have decided to retire. So next to go will be Nils Trebe Montina 4 for Germany. And we'll be looking out for Niels out on course. Now, Dermot, in the show jumping, Niels jumped a really super round. He was first to go, just the one-time penalty, but actually an immaculate clear round.
An excellent clear round, Nicole. And yesterday, after the dressage interview with Niels, he said it to himself, the first phase isn't his, but he loves the jumping phases. Now, looking back on his recent record, he was eliminated at Munster in the CIC 2-star, so he's going to want to overcome that. That was in April of this year. At 3-star level, they're not massively experienced. Only three runs, Nicole, at CIC 3-star level. So at the level that we're at today, Niels and Montana 4, not massively experienced, but they have been to Wiesbaden before. They weren't clear on that occasion. Let's see if today brings more luck, shall we say.
So at the Event Rider Masters, Owlholm Pyramids, that is fence 5 and 6A and B, the 2 pyramids, and he's really pushing away from that.
Yeah, it looks like he had a little bit of a conservative start. He got very well through the Owlhole combination, and it seems to have given him confidence. He's kicked on down here. He looks like he's going for the 5-stride option because he's taking the horse back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think there is a really easy opportunity to make a little bit of time, because when I walked it, it's nearly easier to do the 4 than the 5 if you allow the horse to canter down there. I'm sure we'll see the later horses not reducing the speed so much and continuing on the forward option.
Well, the crowds here have been piling in, and you can just see them leaning back there from the fence. That is how close they are to each of our combinations.
It's extremely close, and if you get the shot here, you see that you're jumping right into the crowd, and he did that very well. And again, like, you land and you have one stride to turn, and I think that's why they took out this next fence, because it was going to be incredibly tight.
To be fair, Montina 4 is looking fairly keen. And Niels just taking the time to set him up, swinging back for this alternative fence. That was one of the changes that was made. Gives a much more direct line to the brush corner, and he takes that well.
Yes, and what's interesting is the ground looked like it's opening up well. I haven't seen any horses losing their back legs in the turn, which is a real sign that it's slippery and greasy. But so far, it looks good.
Well, every Event Rider Masters leg presents a different challenge. We were at Chatsworth in the first leg. Back there we have big rolling hills in the UK in Chatsworth. It's a test of time in Chatsworth, it's a test of speed, but it's very rare that we see what we're seeing here, Nicole. Horses having to ride through the crowds on very twisty, turny parks here in the park in Wiesbaden in Germany. It's a different challenge.
It's very unusual. Here on this section of the course, we see that there's 3 tracks parallel to each other. We would never ever see that in England, I think, because we're blessed to have bigger parks, and it just makes for a completely different experience for a horse and rider.
And from a competition point of view, from an Event Rider Masters point of view, what we don't know yet is how some horses will react to that, how some riders will react to that. Watching horses, we're coming up to the fence now, guys, where we saw the trouble for the last combination.
He gets a good jump in. Yeah, he got through there well. He looked like he controlled the horse more than riding forward, but at least he got in between the flags, and the horse looks really up for it today.
Well, he was about 25-30 seconds down on the clock jumping into the water, so he is down on the clock. As our latest starter, Philip Vestling, Liss's Lady, a horse he owns himself, they're away on course. Clear of fences 5 and 6, the Event Rider Masters pyramids.
We see him coming near the end of the course now, number 20.
So 2 combinations out on course at the moment, as Nils Trebe Montina 4 heading towards home. These two angled brushes, he just took the time to set up for those. He's got just over a minute to get home. And he's about 40 seconds down on the clock now, so he's going to add plenty of time penalties. But Philip Wessling and Lissa's Lady, they had 12 to add from the show jumping, 70.4 the score they come forward on. And they come to the... Ooh, bit of an awkward jump over that ditch.
No, I think the horse looked a bit surprised, to be honest. They don't expect to see just a little natural ditch in the course. And in fairness to the horse, he corrected himself and he got sorted out in time.
Lissa's Lady is a 14-year-old mare, but not experienced at the level, Padraig. Only one CIC 3-star to her name.
Yeah, and I think also, I don't know if the rider is experienced or not, but it was interesting to watch one of the earlier riders went through there on 6 strides, and he actually went on 8.
Well, it's a good observation. You're right, Philip. Only 23, but only 3 internationals in the last 12 months, and only ever been to this level on one occasion before.
And he got through there very well. That walked again on 4 strides, a little bit committed. You had the option of staying outside and doing 5, but I think we'll probably see more riders going direct on 4.
Well, we can begin to see the time now is displaying in the left-hand corner of your screen. So every second that they're over the allocated time, those time penalties add up and they count to your score. So not only do you have to jump clear, you have to be inside the time as well.
And this is where Rudiger is very clever, because he uses these courses in these fences in the main ring to slow the riders. You come off your line to jump the fence before last, and then you swing on an S-bend back to the second last. So he's all the time trying to break the rhythm and make the riders make up time where they can. And this is why this track is so difficult to make the time.
So Nils Trebe, Montina 4, 47 seconds over the time, 18.8 time penalties, but they jump clear. And we have our first clear round here in Wiesbaden. Leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters as coming to the water. The SAP log into the carriage wash. Philip Wessling, Lissa's Lady.
And he jumped there through very good. He did a 4 and a 3, and that was looked very good.
So Philip now swings back between the crowds. And we'll have quite the run, and you can really see how busy it is here in the Schloss Park. It's a public park normally, and then the infrastructure is all brought in for the individual event.
It's incredible because we don't normally as riders see those crowds unless you're at a 4-star, a championship, or in my experience Aachen, Buccolo, and here it looks like as well.
It's something that we touched on earlier, that being able to bring the Event Riders Master Series to Germany is offering us the opportunity to see these new tracks, but also to experience a different culture, a different way of doing things, and like having such huge crowds so close to the horses in a park, which just a couple of days ago when we arrived didn't have cross-country jumps in the finish. It's completely different to what we know.
And it's a great experience especially for younger, less experienced riders to come and ride in this atmosphere, because it's so rare otherwise, even at 3-star level.
And when we talk about that atmosphere, so the horses and the riders constantly learning from being in what we call an atmosphere, from having lots of people around, different high pressure situations. And this is one today. Any slips, you've got to jump in between those flags. You've got to be as quick as you can. Any slips are very, very costly in a competition of this quality.
Well, Julia Meston, Grand Prix I West. They had an expensive show jumping round, 15 to add, but 60.3. They were in 17th position coming forward to the cross country. Julia, who rode for Germany at the European Championships, has just a problem there, I think, for Lissa's Lady, Philip Wessling. We'll get confirmation on that. We've just joined him in the main arena, and I think he'd glanced off that corner, Porrick.
He must have had. We just snapped onto there in the last minute, but he circled back, so he believed he didn't get through it.
So Philip Wessling, Lissa's Lady, heading towards home. And he'll be carrying those penalties, so he isn't going to challenge Nils Trebe, who the only clear round we've got so far here today. Well, away goes our latest starter, and it is Rebecca Johanna Gherkin, Scipio S for Germany. Rebecca Johanna, such a promising young talent for Germany. She's come through the junior young rider teams with this horse. as to the last. Lissa's Lady and Philip Wessling goes on to complete. Well, he was carrying those penalties towards the end of his round, but he has come home safely. Rebecca Johanna Gherkin, Scipio S.
Again, it's another one very nicely through the combination. It looks like they're reading that very well, and it's causing very little problems.
And the brush on top of those pyramids are very forgiving.
They are very forgiving, and I think the horses get a sense of that as well. And definitely as a rider, you're aware of that, and you ride it accordingly.
So just confirmation, Philip Wessling, Lissa's Lady, it was just the 20 penalties in the main arena. So that is 20 to add, and then a number of time penalties as well. They finish their Event Rider Masters debut as Julia Meston, iWest Grand Prix. At these angled hedges, the SAP brushes, and through there very easily.
He does. He looks like a lovely horse cross country. He's very bold. He's looking for the fences, and he's really taking her all the time. She's nicely over the log, riding forward to the thing. Very good.
Julia Meston bei Hindernis 20 blieb mittlerweile angekommen.
So she actually judged that ditch very well, Scipio S.
She did. Again, it's a place where the Rudiger has given you the option to go forward on 5 or to sit up and wait for the 6, and there you have to know your horse, because if you think your horse is going to back up from the crowd, then you don't want to chase on the forward stride, because then you can end up in an uncomfortable position on the ditch. But she knows her horse, and he looks like a brave sword.
Rebecca Johanna Gherkin heading in the middle section of her horse, but in the main arena it is. Now these are the brush corners, Porrig, which are a combination fence, but the ground jury after that downfall have decided to give riders the opportunity to circle without penalty, and she took advantage of that.
Well, it looks like when she jumped, she wanted to jump it, but obviously she landed up on the wrong line, or the line that she didn't intend on, and very cleverly changed her mind at the last minute. And it's way more important to get clear and add a few time penalties than add that very annoying 20 at this stage.
So Julia Meston, Grand Prix iWest in the main arena, and you just saw there some of the grooms of the horses that have already finished, quick to attend to the needs of their horses, and you can vote for your Event Rider Masters Super Groom. Use the hashtag ERM Eventing, but it looks like some late penalties there for Julia. She just had a run out. We'll get confirmation of that, but he was honest, Scipio S. Rebecca Johanna Gherkin then.
He was good there, wasn't he? He just found his feet and he fiddled his way over the second part, and they were very comfortable through the last part again. I didn't see what happened to this horse. But
she had 20 penalties. I think she just glanced off at the penultimate. At the Arrowhead, I believe. So an expensive finish. She was actually, it had been a very good round for her.
Yeah, that's not a place I expected the horses to have a problem. Okay, they come around the tree on the left, but he obviously didn't pick it up and glance past it.
So Rebecca Johanna Gherkin and Scipio S.
She looks like she's holding a very good rhythm. She's very positive between the fences where she can be. And Scipio looks like a very good cross-country horse.
They know each other very well. He's a horse that she owns herself, and actually she's come through junior young riders. Oh!
We speak too soon. And she had a very good ride through the corner, and the horse obviously got distracted, and you'd expect a horse of that experience to jump through there, but not today.
No, and she's going to come round to represent. So Rebecca Johanna Gherkin, 20 penalties on the card for her with that refusal, and they are at a very acute angle, those two brushes. Clears it at the second touch. Ooh, no, now she's decided to call it an A. And he just either didn't understand the question and just wasn't playing ball today.
No, and it's a question that you'd expect. Okay, they are acute, but you'd expect a horse at this level to know the question and go. It is a feature that he builds a lot. He built it in Ack, and it did cause problems as well. So it's, I would say, a bit of a trademark of Rudiger's.
Well, Kai Ruder for Germany. Charlie Weld out on course. They had 2 poles in the show jumping, but at 59.3, their score coming forward to the cross country. Just the one clear round so far, and that belongs to Nils Trebe Montina 4. They finish on 91.1. But Kai through the St James's Place Wealth Management Oxers. 3 minutes to get home, so he's at the halfway stage. Some fantastic SAP GPS technology tracking on our riders, and you can see how fast he's travelling out there on course. We'll do a time check for Kai in just a moment's time. He's going to be down on the clock, but just how much remains to be seen.
It looks like a very hard course to make the time, and I have to say, because again the course builder has put fences on nearly every turn, so you don't get really the opportunity to keep your rhythm, and that's what makes it costly.
So explain to people what that means about getting your rhythm. So it's not just about pushing a horse as fast as you can to be inside the time, because that can be costly.
Well done, Kai.
Oh. Wow.
Very well written. Sorry, yeah, like on these courses we I think 570 meters per minute is the time allotted to be inside the time. That's you know, given then the terrain is twisty, it's a very short course here, so you end up a lot of the time balancing and waiting in the turns. That takes from your overall speed. If you have a longer park with less jumping efforts in the middle, you have more time to make up the time. But here it's relentless. The questions are coming very quickly, so you're always balancing and waiting, and that makes it more difficult. That was exceptionally well ridden by Kai. The horse didn't really lock on, and he showed all his experience there to get him over that C part of the combination.
And that's the sign, really, that the horse does love his job, isn't it? He wants to go where his dad's pointing him, and he sees the flags and he goes, oh, okay, that's what I'm meant to do.
Well, it's that, and it's a combination of the rider's guidance. I mean, if that was a less experienced rider, I think the horse would have gone past it before he would have a chance to realise it, you know. But Kai there, he caught a hold of him and he said, there's what you have to do. And in fairness to the horse, he picked up and he jumped it.
He did it.
There's only 3 riders in the field more experienced at this level than Kai Ruder, so you can see 41 CIC 3-star levels to his name over the last 7 seasons. So if he can help a young horse like Charlie Well, we saw it all happening there.
This was the horse we saw jumping very well this morning with
This was
Isabel.
one of our clear rounds.
Yes.
So Isabel English for Australia with Mother Sarah English's Felldale Mouse. This accommodation coming forward on their dressage score of 55.1. 15th position after the show jumping. They were one of our climbers, and very experienced, this combination at 4-star. They've been top 10 at Adelaide on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, and she had a good gallop down to that Trakehner. I thought she was going to go on the 4, and in the end it chipped in a little short one to make the 5. But I'm very interested to see if we'll see some of the later horses going in 4. Here we see Kai to the combination in the corner.
Now
Again,
he has taken that on the direct route.
I mean, he's a very confident rider. He knows what he's about, and those combinations are there to be ridden, you know. But you have to be confident to go and do it.
Well, the clock turns red, so Kai Ruder, Charlie Well, 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum time. And you can see those penalties really do add up very quickly.
They do, and it's, you know, it makes the dressage a lot less relevant when you see a cross-country course like this, and I think it's the way it should be.
Well, he's going to push on towards the final fence. He will be our fastest round so far. Kai Ruder and Charlie Well, they take a flyer at the last. They come home to complete on his Event Rider Masters debut, and 87.3 is his final score.
Well, he'll be pleased because Charlie Well, that partnership being renewed again with Kai, but that's their first CIC 3-star since they've been back together, so a clear jumping round will be part of the education, I suppose, that they're back together.
Well, clear of the St James's Place Wealth Management Oxers, Isabel English, Felldale Mouse. They go on to fence 14 now. 28 numbered obstacles in total out on course, so at the halfway stage.
She looks to be having a very smooth ride so far.
Isabel, just 22 years old. Felldale Mouse, a 15-year-old Grey Gelding. He has competed at all levels, so they're a partnership that have been to, you know, they've competed at the highest level. That big competition in Adelaide in the 4-star, they're through. And they've missed that combination. That's disappointing. That's the first 20 that we've seen on their record since Goulburn in New South Wales back in 2015. So it's a combination that is not used to having cross-country jumping falls.
and a real shame for them, because actually the clock check for them, I was just about to say they were only 9 seconds down on the time.
Yeah, the horse looked like he jumped almost overbowled into the water. Actually, when you walk up to it, you don't realise till there's water till very late, and she pecked on landing, and she didn't get her knitting together again before the B part, and the horse didn't have the chance to jump it. He looked very honest the second time he came around.
Away goes our first Polish competitor in the Event Rider Masters series, Paul Spizak and Banderas, and this is a horse that he rode at the Olympics last year. Paul, very experienced. This horse formerly a bronze medalist at the 6-year-old World Championships, owned by Jodko Marek.
He's a very big striding horse. He really, you can see he had to contain him going through that combination, and he's away from that very quickly.
Und Isabel English.
Very, very nicely through there.
Well, you mentioned the big strides on Banderas. It's going to be interesting, Padraig, to keep an eye on this, because one thing I'm finding in the data is that they have had problems at different levels before. They were eliminated in Rio. They picked up 20 penalties at the CIC 2-star in Cruyff already this year. They then went and jumped clear inside the time in Sopot. It's a little bit of could be anything, but I'm wondering from the data if this twisty, turny course with lots of intense jumping efforts towards the end is going to prove difficult for this young horse as we come to the latter part.
I think we've seen it already in the jump, and he has a very big stride, and that does not lend itself to a course like this. I think on those long runs you can see he eats up the ground. He looks like he's very honest on the jump, but it will get difficult for him to make the time on this course, I think.
Isabel English, Feldale Mouse, carrying those 20 penalties into the main arena here at Wiesbaden, taking the direct route and just running past that again. He just didn't pay attention to her going round the corner to the second element.
No, the horse, he got a hold of it a bit and he kept going, and it's difficult to say from this angle what line she had. It looked like she was possibly a bit direct, but yeah, not her best day. It's unfortunate that after such a good round she's going to be very disappointed. The horse looks like when he sees the jump in front of him he wants to jump it, but there it was not really clear between the rider and the horse, I think, what was to happen. And again, when you come in out of the park into an arena like this, it can be a little bit disorientating for the horses.
I think that's an interesting point. Again, it's quite rare, something that certainly the UK riders won't be used to. Isabel now based on the continent, but even she won't have seen too many events like this. Wiesbaden, where we have leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters, is very unique in its finish, in that we're finishing in a stadium. We really only have a couple of major events that we might see around the world ever that we'll see that will finish in a stadium, and even that, it's very rare that we'll have a number of jumping efforts in front of a crowd.
Exactly. And the horses are getting a little bit tireder. You see she had a little bit of an uncomfortable jump. The horses are sometimes a bit more difficult to adjust near the end, and she had certainly a bit of an uncomfortable moment. Here we're watching one of the very strong combinations. We'd expect a very quick round from Bill.
Bill Levitt for Australia. Shannondale Titan, owned by Mike Clare and Anne Prentice. Huge supporters of Bill, the Prentice family, for a number of years, and he was 4th on the Event Rider Masters second leg last year. He's yet to make the podium. That was at Bramham that he had that good placing. He's been knocking on the door. He was in 14th coming into this final phase. 54.5.
And Bill looks like he means business. He was one of the, I think, only the second rider we've seen him going from that arrowhead to the corner on 6 strides, and he's pressing away from every jump. He's really riding here. I think Bill wants to make some money this weekend.
Well, we're looking at the most experienced rider in the competition at this level. Bill Levitt, 70 runs at this level, more than anyone else in the field. He'll be helping use all that experience to get Shannondale Titan into a competitive position.
Yeah, we definitely see he's not wasting any time. He's really on every stride. He's taking the first distance wherever it's available. He's pushing him away from the jumps. He really wants to get on the time here.
Let's do a clock check. He needs to be jumping into the water with 2 minutes 37 on the clock. So he's about 8 seconds down, but that is by far the quickest we've seen so far. So Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, riding for the Prentice family, and the owner of each of the legs of the winning horse in the Event Rider Masters series, very kindly donated by the Monart Sale in Ireland. A prize to stay at the B&B at the Monart Spa Hotel. And that is for each of the owners of the winning horses. It's brilliant to see that. And the winning owner of the horse that wins this series, well, they'll be in store for a 2-night stay in the executive suite during that Monart Sale on the 7th and 8th of November. We've seen some top horses come out of that as away goes Marcio George, Coronel MCJ for Brazil, coming here off the back of a top 10 finish at Chatsworth. But Banderas and Paul Spizek at the final combination. They're turning towards the last. They're 30 seconds over the time and counting. The clock is red, 68.9 at the moment. And he clears the last, goes on to complete. But a clear round across the country on their Event Rider Masters debut. Paul Spizak and Banderas for Poland, they complete. And we'll get a confirmed score for you for him as soon as possible.
We've got an interesting dynamic now on the course. You've got one of the fastest horses in the field, a thoroughbred ridden by Marcio Carvalho George. This was the horse that made the time at Chatsworth. 5 people in nearly 1,500 runs have done it at that venue, so not an easy thing to do. We saw this guy deliver it. Will he be able to follow that up with a fast round here? Because time clearly is going to play a huge role in the time penalties and the final scores of the riders. How quick can they be?
It doesn't look like he's in a hurry, but the horse obviously gallops very, very well. He's very efficient through there. And you see him straight away, he's in thoroughbred mode, down low and galloping well.
Well, another one that is finishing as fast as they can. They've only been inside the time once at CIC 3-star level from 17 runs. Shannondale Titan. But Bill Levitt is pushing, and he's the fastest at this part where we've seen so far, guys. Still in the green and in the stadium. The time penalties, he won't be inside the time, but how many will he add on?
I think he's definitely going to push himself into a top 10 position here.
And again, it is about those series points in the Event Rider Masters. It is not just each leg. There's a huge prize pot for the series winner as well. So Shannondale Titan, Bill Levitt pushing towards home. What a round this has been from Bill. For Australia, 67.1 at the moment. Clears the last and kicks on through the finish flag. So 71.9, 9.2 time penalties. So that is the fastest round that we've seen so far, 23 seconds over the optimum time.
Well, we really saw Bill having to work to get that time. Marcio, and as you say, Colonel MCJ, he makes that time a little bit quicker, particularly on these stretches.
Well, away goes Joseph Asummer and Hamilton 24 for Germany. They just rolled the one pole in the show jumping, 52.9 coming forward to the cross country. We were very nearly into the top 10. Reverse order cross country, remember, we won't know the winner of leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters until the last horse has crossed the line.
I have no idea what it's now.
Very nicely through there.
3 runs for this combination in 2017. Clear jumping at Marbach at this level. Clear jumping at Randolphsfeld and Le Moulin. So both German competitions, they were clear there, but they picked up time penalties in all 4. Back to Marcio.
Well done. Horse had a little stutter, but his ears were always on the second part. I think there was no doubt that he was ever going to jump that.
So Marcio George, the only Brazilian in the field now. Carlos Parry deciding to withdraw Calcourt Landline before the cross-country. He's heading towards home, but Joseph Asummer and Hamilton 24. Setting up for this very skinny log. And it's a tight turn, isn't it, Porrick? And it comes very quickly off the bend.
It does. You have the option there to take your time to straighten up, and then you're going to probably end up adding a stride, which he did there. Or else, if you're brave enough, you can and trust your horse, you can keep your gallop and round off the turn and continue in a higher gear and try and get the 5 strides to the Trakehner. Again, it's down to the plan you make.
Well, Bill Levitt is our current leader, with Shannondale Titan. For the Prentice family, 62.7 his confirmed score.
And there we see Marcio having a slightly uncomfortable jump, and very wisely he made the long route to the circle to get himself organised again.
So Marcio George, Coronel MCJ. Big players in the Event Rider Masters series. They were double clear, or they were inside the top 10, one pole in the show jumping at Chatsworth to finish with some good series points.
Yes,
they could well be on chance for another top 10 finish here today. The time is red and the penalty score is clicking up. But he just has the 2 jumping efforts remaining. He's going to turn towards the final fence now. Marcio George and Coronel MCJ, they see a flyer at the last and go on to complete, but 34 seconds over the time, 13.6 time, and that means that he finishes on a score of 80.7. So he goes behind Bill, behind Paul Spizak, and behind Kai Ruder, into 4th at the moment.
And we just see Hamilton going through the combination at the water, and the rider did a very good job there to make sure he was gathered and saw the B element, and was very well ridden.
Well, away goes the dual German national champion, Andreas Ossolt and Corvette 31. Clear through the Event Rider Masters brush pyramids at 6. Joseph Asama and Hamilton 24 heading into the thick crowds here at Wiesbaden.
This combination have 57 international starts together previously, guys. That's more than any other combination in the field. So clearly they've built that partnership and built that relationship over time, and that's always a huge thing when it comes to cross-country riding, Padraig.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like wearing an old pair of shoes. If you know where your horse is going to go and you can trust him. Interestingly that you say that, she's quite, for me, taking often one extra stride, and I thought that was indicative of a horse with less experience, but he's jumping very confidently, and like I said, she knows him inside out.
So Andreas Ossolt and Corvette 31. Andreas was 3rd here 12 months ago. That was with Pennsylvania. Rides at Corvette 31 for Rudolf Westmeyer. Has had some good results at 3-star level so far this year. So Andreas Ossolt and Corvette 31. At the halfway stage of their round, we'll get a time check for you for him very shortly.
And again, he was another rider that went on the 6th-ride option there, and it's interesting that we see the very experienced rider making that look like the good option.
Well, John Kyle is out there on course. Let's go down and see who he's found to talk to.
Well, none other than Nicole than our current live podium leader, Bill Levitt. Bill, well done on your round. Tell us a little bit about what it was like.
Well, the ground was particularly good. That bit of rain was a bit of a nuisance, you know, when we had our start times put back, but the horses loved, or my horse loved galloping on that, and looks like he's pulled up well, which is great. It's very twisty. You know, my horse got a little bit dead in the rain towards the back end, so I just needed 2 or 3 more checks to get my distance. But that's, you know, he's such a genuine guy, and he jumped and he did everything I asked of him. So he jumped very, very well and very genuine. It's nice that he's come home with a really nice experience.
It's very interesting. You were about 8 seconds down, then you finished 22 seconds over, so it's really tough at the last bit of the course.
Yeah, it is, and those seconds will be got by the quicker horses, I'm sure. And my guy just, as I say, got a bit dead in the rain. There was 4 or 5 fences where I thought, oh no, don't tell me I've got to wait for another stride, because I just didn't have him balanced enough to give the fence a good jump. So I would assume the really quick, experienced horses will get very close to that time. There's certainly more seconds in there to get, for sure.
Well, it's you they've got to knock off the podium at the moment. Bill Levitt, well done, our current leader here at Wiesbaden.
Well, interesting to hear from Bill that the ground has held up well. That is brilliant news, as into second place at Joseph Asama, Hamilton 24. They go on to the podium. They've completed their round as Jorg Kerbel and Entertain You. They're our latest starters, and they were the big climbers after the show jumping. They came into the show jumping in 18th place after the dressage, but a clear round saw them climb 9 places up the leaderboard.
Dressage jumped very good through there. And we saw Jörg earlier. Here he's back in our picture again. And this is a big galloping horse. And he looked like he's really up for it. He was really quick through 3 and away from it.
Very reliable jumpers entertain you. So clear jumping rounds already this season at Stragom, at Donasky, at Cruyff. They did pick up time on all those occasions, so that's going to be an interesting one for this pair. Can they limit the time penalties on this track? 6.8 time penalties they added in Stragom, but that was a very different challenge to what they're faced with today.
Well, I'm going to go out there and say that he is going very quickly. We'll get a time check for him in a second. He needs to be taking off at the first of these Oxers with 3 minutes and 17 left on the clock. So your Kerr will entertain you. He's at 3 minutes and 25. He's not going to be a million miles away, you know. He might be a few seconds down. As in the main arena, heading towards home, Andreas Ossolt, Corvette 31. Been a good round from Andreas, hugely experienced. And the clock for him is going to turn red. So 52.8, the clock ticks up.
Again, it's going to be one of the fastest times to this part of the course. They are adding time penalties, but they're going to limit that. You're looking at one of the most experienced riders in the field on one of the least experienced horses. Corvette, just a 9-year-old mare.
And he's making it look easy. He's doing a really good job nursing this horse around, and indeed in a very quick time.
Well,
and he's so confident he's able to salute the crowd.
He could have afforded to be 24 seconds over the time to go ahead of Bill, but
we don't see that too often.
I have never seen that. That is amazing confidence.
Yeah, I wouldn't be brave enough for that myself.
Well, he's been here before at Wiesbaden. He's a local and he's a favourite. But he's also supremely talented, which allows him to be able to showboat as he comes to the end. We're moving from one of the most experienced German riders to one of the young, up-and-coming ones, Niklas Schroer on Tom Tom Go 3.
Well, John Kyle is down at the podium and the atmosphere is being soaked up.
Yes, indeed. Marcio George with me. Marcio, we've literally just moved you to the other side of the podium because Joseph Summer has taken over second place. But your young horse, Coronel, you're about 30 seconds over the time. You're on the podium. You're pleased with this young horse?
Yes, I'm very pleased. I'm very happy for him. This is a difficult course. It's too twisty, and we can't have a nice rhythm. It's very hard for them to jump a course like this.
And also, like you're like me, we feel like ice creams today, melting.
Yeah, it's very hot here. Looks like Brazil.
Well, our Brazilian rider there in third place at the moment. Joseph Summer in second. Bill Levitt still in the lead here at Wiesbaden.
So Niklas Beschora, Tom Tom Go 3, making his Event Rider Masters debut. 51.5 at his dressage. Just the one pole rolled in the show jumping. So 47.5 his dressage, one pole rolled show jumping, 8th place overnight. We're well into the top 10 here, leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters.
And Niklas looks like he's riding for his life. He was very brave through that combination. It'll be interesting to see if he can make the 4 or 6 strides across to the corner. But this horse has done 4 stars already, Dierm, I think, and he should be well able.
Well, he has, but you know, his cross-country jumping is probably, I would suggest, his weakest phase. We've touched on it all weekend that they still looked a little bit rusty in their early phases, making a comeback, but even looking through their major results, that's
that was
inside.
50-50.
Were those shoulders inside? That's what we have to look for in this.
He looks like he's in doubt, but I think he's continuing to the next fence. That's going to be down to the ground jury.
Well, there'll be videos look back on there, but he'll be hoping that it's positive on his side. The horse's shoulders, those front legs, Patrick, they have to be inside the flags.
I would question that one. We had a good angle. I know it happened quickly, but he looked a little bit resignated when it happened. I'd be surprised.
Yeah. Sometimes at events around the world and around the countries, you won't have as many TV cameras, and it's a rider's argument against the judge. But here we have all the tech, all the TV cameras, so I'm sure that'll be looked at again. It will add 20 to his jumping penalties if it is decided that those shoulders were outside the flags as they came through.
And the horse looks a little bit tired actually finishing, which I'm a little bit surprised with. But the course is very intense. All those turning and checking and waiting, it does take it out of him. Let's see what's happened here.
Keep an eye here. We're going slowly. True. No, it's still very hard to see. We have a run out. He's gone past. This is Tom Go 3. This is something that I warned you against. We had 20 penalties for this combination in their return at Belton. We have seen problems for them before. You may remember this young German shocked the world really when he did a dressage of 42 at badminton back in 2015. That was a difficult cross-country year for them. But look who's on course, Nicole. Alex Watien and Don Gennaro, a former winner of the Event Rider Masters.
Well, they won leg 2 at Bramham last year. We'll get an update for you on how many seconds he can afford to be over the time to go ahead of Bill Levitt. And it will be 30 seconds he has to go ahead of Bill Levitt. But he'll be wanting to put the pressure on those that come ahead of him. We're into the top 7 now, leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters here in Wiesbaden, in the grounds of the British Palace.
Yeah, we see there, I saw it on my small screen, Alex was through the last combination on 4 strides. I think he was the first horse to do it, and I'm delighted to see that one of the combinations did it, because it's there to do. If you want to get inside the time here, I think you have to take those risks.
Well, news just in that Jörg Kerbel had actually picked up 11 penalties for breaking a MIM clip. That's a safety device out on course, so 11 penalties is incurred there by the FEI for that, and that'll be added to his total score. Well, Bill Levitt still sitting on the top of the podium. I think he quite likes it up there, to be honest.
Looks like it.
That's the place to be. We've been waiting for Bill to put all 3 phases together for a while. He's very close to it now, but he'll be watching what's coming behind him. And this is the main one that's arriving. Don Gennaro. They've had 20 internationals together. They've never had a jumping fault. They don't normally make the time. They did make the time at Bramham last year in the Event Rider Masters when they went on to win that day. People still talk about how he proved my stats wrong that day. He's going to need to prove them wrong again here if he's going to be inside the time.
He can be 30 seconds over, remember. The optimum time, 5 minutes and 50. We'll do a clock check for him in a second. He's got 3 minutes left on the clock.
It's going to be difficult, I think. It's very hard to make up time up in this last part of the course, indeed anywhere through the course.
That's an interesting one. You've got to make up your time or be ahead of the clock on certain parts of your course. This is a second problem for the young German, Niklas Schroer.
Allowed to circle due to the weather. The ground jury gave permission to allow to circle between those 2 obstacles, so that should just be wasting time. Well, Joseph Asuma there on the podium. Bill Levitt as well. He's our clubhouse leader at the moment. 62.7. That is the score to beat. As Niklas Beskora just heading towards home now. The clock is ticking up. He's got those 20 penalties on the card. So he's not going to challenge the top of the leaderboard. But the top 3 as things stand. Bill Levitt out in front, 62.7. Andreas Ossolt at 65.2. Joseph Asuma, 65.3.
Well, those time penalties are what you're seeing making a difference to Tom Go's 3's final score. That's not going to be competitive this weekend, but we've talked about it all the way through. A young rider and a horse making a comeback from a couple of years off, so...
Yeah, I think he'll be glad to get this run under his belt.
So Alex Huatian at the angled brushes with Don Gennaro. And they're the only combination in the field that have won Event Rider Masters leg previously. That was at Bramham last year, as we've said. But Pietro Sundai for Italy away with Ruby the Player. This is a horse he owns himself, 48.7. Their score coming forward in 6th place after the show jumping. 2 Italians in the top 6. That's fantastic to see. Yet to see an Italian on the podium yet in the Event Rider Masters leg.
Still just a 25-year-old, but Pietro is now competing in his 20th CIC 3-star, so 20th run for the rider at the level. And Rubens de Pereira, it's his 10th CIC 3-star. So young rider, but experienced, reasonably experienced for the level.
It looks very smooth here. He's not wasting time. Good turn. Let's see if he goes into 6. We don't get the opportunity.
Oh, Alex Huatian, he was going to be on course. He had enough time to get home to go ahead of Bill Levitt, but 20 penalties for him. Don Gennaro Well, that is expensive.
Huge moment for the stats. He's never had a jumping full cross country before. So this is brand new for Alex. This is brand new for Don Gennaro. It's a shock. It's certainly a shock. We will be expecting at the very least a jumping clear one. He's a very reliable jumper. So we're going to have to wait and see what Alex has to say about this afterwards. It's not cost him too much time yet. He got himself together quickly, but it's hugely disappointing from that placing.
Well, that means that Bill Levitt stays on top of the podium. He's climbing the leaderboard. He was in 13th place coming into the cross country, and he's already going to be no worse than 7th.
That's huge from a series point of view. Bill Levitt in 7th, the series points are adding up, but Don Gennaro, 20 penalties. None of us saw this coming. Alex is going to be disappointed with this.
Yeah, I think the credit to the course builder. I mean, it's a question there in the main ring, and you know, he didn't get his line right, and he paid the price.
Well, back to the young Italian, Pietro Sandai. He's jumped clear in cross country in Vairano, in Ravenna.
He can afford to be 34 seconds over the time to go ahead of Bill Levitt. We'll do a clock check for him in a moment. He doesn't look as fast as Bill. As away goes, they were in 2nd place after the dressage, but an expensive show jumping round for Julia Krajewski and Chipmunk FRH. So they come forward in 5th place, 48.2. They were 2nd here 12 months ago. They have course form.
Well, this young rider will not be fazed by the crowds at Wiesbaden. Julia's been here on 7 previous occasions. Chipmunk's still just a 9-year-old and one of the horses that the whole of Europe is looking forward to seeing. She's been here, Chipmunk's been here before as well. He's been here, he's a 9-year-old gelding. He didn't make the time on the last occasion he was here, but he wasn't far over. Back to Pietro.
Well, Bill Levitt, he is still at the top of the podium. Pietro Sundai could have been over the time to go ahead of him, but 20 penalties. And it is those angled brushes once again, Parag, that catches someone out.
It is, again, like I said, you'd expect horses to jump, but I don't know if he got again the line that he would have liked. The horse didn't seem to pick it up, and very unfortunate for him today. It's a very costly mistake.
So we're with Chipmunk FRH, Julia Krajewski, and Julia can afford to be 36 seconds over the time. So she's got plenty of time in hand. She'll be wanting to climb the leaderboard though. And as we've seen, when you're putting your accelerator on across the country, the mistakes can creep in.
And she looks quite fast. She's not wasting time, very controlled, very smooth. It'll be interesting to see the split time on this double of Oxers.
Well, Pietro Sundai is heading towards the main arena, but Chipmunk at the double of Oxers. The St James's Place Wealth Management Oxers would need to be here with 3 minutes and 17 at the first element, so about 6 or 7 seconds down on the clock. She can afford to be, though, 36 seconds over. Will Ruby de Plaire.
Excuse me, but Pietro did a good job there. Horse hesitated in the bridle a little bit, and he popped in an extra stride and got through there very safely.
So the podium as things stand at the moment, Bill Levitt, Andreas Ossolt and Joseph Asama. They're the top 3. We are into the top 5 out on course at the moment. An expensive 20 penalties for the Italian rider Pietro Sundai. But this young lady, well, she can rattle the leaderboard at the SAP Water. It is Julia Krajewski and Chipmunk.
Very well through there. She just kept her hands quiet, get them down, get her leg on and let the horse do its job. And he had all the time in the world to see what was coming and understood the question and jumped out very nicely.
Salute from Pietro Sandai as he comes through the end. He'll be pleased to finish. Very disappointed with those 20 penalties, I'm sure. But we've got that 9-year-old on course, Padraig. I'm really looking forward to getting to hear your take on it. We've got Mr. Bass in the UK with Laura Collett. We've got Upsilon in France with Tom Carlyle. But a lot of people in this part of the world are talking about this 9-year-old Chipmunk with Julia Krajewski as being an important player in the future of Germany.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's very, very impressive in the dress. It just looks like have a very good round here. Showed it an experience this morning in the atmosphere to have 3 falls down where the horse got a little bit tense. It'll be interesting to want to watch. I mean, Tom Carlyle's horse is winning already at this level, and but it's definitely a very exciting horse.
Well, just to remind you, Chipmunk is winning CCI 3 stars as well. Stragom last year, they were the winners on a 42.4. They did add time penalties that day as well, 33.2 time penalties.
But away goes the individual silver medalist from London 5 years ago, Sarah Algerson-Ossolt, with reality 39. 3 time penalties in the show jumping sees them come forward on a score of 45 in 4th place after the first 2 phases and at the first real question on course. This mare hugely experienced.
Yeah, we're going from a young 9-year-old to a 13-year-old mare who, as you say, has competed at championship level. They've actually competed 13 occasions at CIC 3-star level. Back to Chipmunk.
Well, Chipmunk in the main arena. Julia Krajewski at these brush corners, taking the direct route, and he takes it very well. So 25 seconds to get home. She needs to have 30 on the clock as she jumps this table. She's 10 seconds down, but she can afford to be 30 seconds, 36 seconds in fact, over the time to go ahead of Bill Levitt.
This is going to be the fastest round we've seen today so far.
Very much so. Bill, 9.2 time penalties. The clock is still green, and Julia will have her eyes on the finish. Bill Levitt, enjoy that podium, because I think this young German lady is coming for you. Julia Krajewski, just the last to go with Chipmunk FRH. The clock is ticking up. She's well within her time. She just needs to clear the last. And we've a new leader here at leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters. Chipmunk FRH. Julia Krajewski will knock Bill Levitt down into 2nd, Andreas Ossolt down into 3rd, and Joseph Asama, well, she'll have to step off the leaderboard to 4th.
Yeah, it was a very polished performance from Julia with that young horse. She did an amazing job there. She got him through there. Really very like it was jumping through a pre-novice. It's, like I said, a very exciting horse for the future and for German championships.
And you can really feel how she's a fan favourite. The crowd really went wild here when she came home. I expect she'll look back at that show jumping round this morning as a very expensive one. But let's wait and see where she finishes, because I expect there's going to be plenty more time penalties accumulating amongst this last group. We've got Reality 9 on course. We've still got to see Sarah Conan Treason. We've still got Stefano Brecciaroli from Italy. And then, of course, we've got the leader Ingrid Klimke. But we are closing in on this top group now. Reality 39 and Sarah Algerson on course.
She can be 22 seconds over the time to go ahead of Julia. But this is where the pressure really starts to build. In 4th place after the first 2 phases.
Well, I think the main thing we have to look for here, guys, is Reality 39 has to jump clear. Time penalties are important, but we do have a couple of eliminations and a couple of 20s on that record. So jumping falls is what I'm referring to. The first thing you have to do is jump clear, then you worry about the time.
She was 17 seconds down on the clock as she jumped into the SAP water. She's going to have to put her foot down, and as you've said, Porrick, it gets harder to catch up time at the end of the course.
Yeah, I think she's going to struggle, Nicole. The horse is a different horse to Chipmunk. Chipmunk is, like I said earlier, one of those really nippy horses. This is a big, rangy horse. I think it's going to make up the time on the long stretches. When we get into that main ring, I think we're going to see her a little bit further down the clock than we do now.
Number 12 on track, Trashen.
So the clubhouse leader, as things stand at the moment, Julia Krajewski, Chipmunk FRH in 5th place coming into the show jumping. They'll be looking to climb onto the podium. Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, they've climbed after the show jumping. They'll finish no worse than 6th from 13th coming into the final phase, and it is all about series leaderboard points. But Sarah Algerson-Ossolt living a bit dangerously through there, as we see for the first time the sole British combination out here in Germany. Sarah Cohen with Liz Jones and Pressy Spark Limited's Treason, and this is a combination that have been so consistent. They come here from the back of a 6th place finish in leg 1 of the Event Rider Masters at Chatsworth. 43.2 their dressage, one of only 4 clear rounds in the show jumping.
Wow. Well, Sarah went through there on 2 strides.
Saving
didn't
time.
think to see that happen, but she managed it very well, and this is a big scopy horse, but that was very brave.
Well, Treason has been clear inside the time twice in the last 12 months. That's more than any other horse in the field, even Escada. So certainly from an echo ratings point of view, we're putting this down. Treason, he is a very, very reliable jumper. He is fast when he needs to be. He was inside the time at Barbary. He was inside the time at Bramham. We're back to Sarah.
She's clear through the brush corners. She's got 12 seconds left on the clock. She's going to be pushing it. She can afford to be 22 seconds over. I think she's going to struggle to go ahead of Julia.
So once that clock hits 0, the time penalties begin to accumulate. You'll see them now, 45, 46. You can see how expensive time becomes. So you have to score in all 3 phases. Dressage sets you up, then show jumping. But now we're looking at those time penalties accumulating as she gets home.
She's got 10 seconds to get home, less than. She's not going to do it, I don't think. So Sarah Albertson also, reality 39. She's kicking towards the final fence, but she's gone behind Julia Krajewski. And Sarah, reality 39 completes with 66.6, and they'll stay inside the top 10.
And this is where we see that you really have to, choose your course for your horse, and we see the type of horse that's a little bit faster on this course. This is a big rangy horse, but Sarah is being incredibly brave, and she looks quite quick there. She was incredibly quick through the first part of the course, and I think she realises that at that early part of the course where you have those open distances, you have to make the distance. You have to go down on less strides.
And what you have to do is, and what you're trying to do there is get ahead of the clock. Buy yourself enough seconds in hand that when you get to that more technical part later in the course, you can afford to slow down a little bit, take your time and get it right.
Absolutely, but she's always on the distance. She's taking the first stride out of every turn.
Sarah has 27 seconds in hand of Julia Krajewski, who we've just seen knock Bill Levitt down into second place on the podium. So she is that clubhouse leader. And Sarah is 2 seconds down on the clock. This is the fastest that we've seen so far at the SAP Water. Sarah Cohen and Treason for Great Britain, looking to be on the podium for the first time in their Event Rider Masters career.
Chatsworth is one of the most difficult places to make the time. Very, very few people do it. And Treason, Mr. T, I was going to say, just 0.8 time penalties at Chatsworth in the first leg of the Event Rider Masters. That was our indication. That was what was telling us to keep an eye on the speed. And now we've got another indication. We're looking at the fastest round so far. Can they stay on track?
So 1 minute and 50 to get home. Sarah Cohen and Treason. Julia Krajewski, our clubhouse leader. As Sarah just swings left-handed to these angled brushes. She needs to be here with 1:38 on the clock. She's there or thereabouts. Will this be the first combination to beat the time here in Wiesbaden? Well, John Kyle is down at the podium, soaking up all of the atmosphere, and he has our clubhouse leader.
We absolutely are here at the podium. We're just watching with bated breath because we know now Julia Krajewski is our leader, and you can finish no lower than 4th, but you want better than that, don't you?
Well, sometimes.
How did it go for you out there?
Really good, really good. Chipmunk was here last year and really good, and I knew he knows the course and he knows to go between the people, and he responded really well. He jumped really well. I slipped a little bit, but I also lost a shoe, unfortunately. But I have to say he was great. He was absolutely great.
Great. We'll maybe talk to you again if you're in the top 3. Let's get back to the action. It's really exciting.
Well, Stefano Brecciaroli and Apollo van der Wennekerthoven over second place after the show, jumping that super clear round. But Sarah Cohen is in the main arena. 43.2. She comes forward on her dressage score.
She knocks the flag, but that won't matter. The shoulders were inside, and that's all that counts.
Well, she's now 3 seconds down on the clock. So she's 3 seconds down on the clock. This is the fastest round we've seen. If she can jump clear, she can be 27 seconds over, but she will pile the pressure on Stefano and Ingrid Klimke still to come. 3 jumping efforts left.
Well, nobody's ever finished under dressage score and been outside the top 5 at the end. She might not make her dressage score, but she's going to be very, very close over the last and true.
Well, the clock turns red. Sarah Cohen for Great Britain with Treason for Liz Jones and Pressy Sparks. She clears the last, and a new leader in leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters. Her first podium finish. The fastest round of the day. Sarah Cohen and Treason. What a fantastic round. And what can this man do? Stefano Brecciaroli, the pressure goes to him now. 42.6 he has. He has 10 seconds in hand ahead of Sarah Cohen.
He's going to have to beat the numbers. He's a reliable jumper, so in his CIC 3-star, so the level we're at today, he's only ever had one fault from 15 rounds at the level. Now, I'm seeing a lot of time penalties on the record, so time penalties at Stragom, at Donaski, at Sopot, at Aachen. But what does it mean when you're at? What does it mean when you're here? He retired at Aachen. What does it mean in the Event Rider Masters? You push that little bit more. You're concentrating that little bit more. You're pushing for the time. What I would be shocked though is if he can make the time today, or if he can get close enough to the time to get ahead of Treason.
He's already down on the clock, about 8 seconds down on the clock, and he's really having to take the time to set this horse up, Porrick, and that wastes time as well, doesn't it?
Well, I would suggest that the last rider on course, SAP Escada, is one that will put it up to it. It's going to be a round that we want to see. It's going to be a round to watch. Ingrid has been to Wiesbaden 3 times, and that's across all her different horses, but she's always made the time and always been clear jumping. So SAP Escada is going to try continue that. We'll have them in a moment. Right now we're with the Italian, Stefano Brecciaroli.
Well, Apollo van der Wenderkert-Hover, such a good clear round in the show jumping, very narrowly missing out on a time penalty. He has 10 seconds in hand out on course to go ahead of Sarah Cohen and Treason. There, our clubhouse leader, she has guaranteed herself a spot on the podium. Let's do a clock check with Stefano as he comes to the SAP angled hedges. And in fact, I can already say he is more than 10 seconds down on the clock now. I think he needed to have been at the angled hedges in 1:38 left, and it's already 1:28. So Sarah Cohen, I think, will be second or better here in Wiesbaden. So 18 seconds down on the clock for Stefano Brecciaroli, Apollo van der Wenderkert-Hover. But away goes our dressage leader, our show jumping leader. She's won here in Wiesbaden on 3 previous occasions. It is Ingrid Klimke and SAP Escada FRH. Well, on the podium, the changes taking place. Andreas Ossolt will be stepping off. Sarah Algerson-Ossolt stepping on.
And Sarah's definitely meaning this, or Sarah, Ingrid, she's really away from the combination there. They are very quickly.
Everything for me plays into SAP Escada's hands. They've been here before. Ingrid knows what it feels like to win. She's competed with pressure. She's competed at the very highest levels, and so has Escada. They've been inside the time 77%, so 10 of their 13 cross-country rounds at this level, they've been inside the time. I think it's going to be an exhibition from them today, but back to Stefano.
Well, he's not going to go ahead of Sarah Cohen. He has 10 seconds in hand. That circle there, it all costs time, and it could cost him a place on the podium as well, because he needs 30 seconds to get home now from this box. So the time penalties are going to tick up. And the top 3 as things stand, Sarah Cohen, Julia Krajewski, and Sarah Algerson-Ossolt. It is Great Britain, Germany and Sweden. So just the 3 jumping efforts remaining for Stefano Brecciaroli and Apollo van der Wenderkert-Hover. Could he go onto the podium? It's an all-female podium at the moment. I think, in fact, it's going to be an expensive round in terms of time penalties, and the clock ticks up. He clears the last, but he'll go into 6th place. He'll go behind Bill Levitt, and he'll go behind Andreas Ossolt.
And I've just been watching Ingrid here on the smaller screen, guys. She is absolutely flying. She is taking strides out everywhere. She's pushing the mare on landing. She really wants to get on the time. It's not enough for her to win, I think, dear. I think she wants to go inside the time again.
I think you're right. I think she wants to deliver the very best performance she can with this mare. We haven't seen enough of Escada. She doesn't come out often. It's usually Kreuther, Le Moulin or Aachen that we see this mare. She's here at Wiesbaden. She knows how to make the time, and I just think that Ingrid always wants to deliver the very, very best performance she can. Not easy to be sub 40 at Wiesbaden. Very few people have done it. She's sitting on 38.6. She's only ever accumulated 27 seconds across her entire career in show jumping in cross-country time penalties.
Incredible.
She's a couple of seconds down on the clock at the SAP Water. She can afford to be 20 seconds over the clock to go ahead of Ingrid Klimke and SAP Escada.
Well, it would take a huge shock, a monumental shock, if there was anything to go wrong here. Look at Ingrid smiling. Escada is smiling. The ears are pricked. She knows exactly what she has to do, and she's enjoying their job. The both of them are.
Well, Sarah Cohen takes her place at the top of the podium. She is ahead of Julia Krajewski and Sarah Algertson-Ossol in second and third. But it is going to be an all-female podium for the first time ever in Event Rider Masters history. And will this lady be able to take the top spot? 1 minute and 37 to get home. She is on target to make the time. 38.6. She needs to jump clear. She can afford the time. She's got 20 seconds in hand. She may not know that, though. She very much has to ride what's underneath her. And we heard from Ingrid earlier. She said she wanted to finish on that score that she was bringing forward.
What's underneath her, though, Nicole, is one of the best mares that we've seen in the sport. We don't see her often enough, as I say, but when we do, she is a treat. Aachen last year was just a foot perfect round. They were clear inside the time that day when they went on to win. That was 2015. Sarah Cohen is on the podium. She's smiling, but what a feeling this must be, Padraig, for Ingrid. She had that disappointment at Badminton on Hale Bob when they knocked the pole and knocked them out of contention, but to be coming home into the stadium, a hero in her country here, a hero in her first Event Rider Masters, and here with Escada, who she loves so much. This must be a feeling.
Well done. I mean, this is Ingrid out and out. She's the epitome of a horsewoman. The horses are so well trained. They look for jumps. You see that she overjumped the first fence there, but as soon as she turned her face onto it, she knew that's what I have to do, Mom, and she picked up the jump where many other horses that we've seen today would have gone past it.
She has 20 seconds in hand.
This is an incredible round.
She can afford the time. This has been foot perfect. She's well up on time. She's a couple of seconds over, but that's absolutely fine. The clock is still green. Ingrid Klimke and SAP Escada. For Germany, she's coming to
she's run past it.
No. Ingrid Klimke, SAP Escada, a late 20 penalties. This means that the winner of leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters.
Oh my God,
and
Escada.
Well,
Sarah Cohen is on the podium. She is celebrating. There is going to be a huge celebration in the UK tonight. She came over here. She didn't expect to probably win this. She was going up against some of the top riders in the world, and we're looking at one of the top riders in the world here. This is heartbreaking for Ingrid. She had her heart broken at Badminton, but Escada having a cross-country penalty in the stadium at the end. This is a huge shock, and this is against all the numbers. Sarah Cohen has won.
Well, can you believe it? Ingrid Klimke for Germany, SAP Escada, the hot favourites, one of the best riders in the world, and late problems out on course. The penultimate obstacle. It really can happen to anyone, but what a horsewoman she is. She's going to get off, give this mare a big pat, and I'm sure we'll see them back here in the Event Rider Masters in the future. But Sarah Cohen, well, she is one to watch in this series. She has won leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters for Great Britain. Owners Pressy Spark and Liz Jones will be absolutely delighted with Treason. They were 6th at Chatsworth, and this is huge in terms of the series, Derm.
This is a changing moment for the series, because Sarah has come from the very outset of this series and said, I'm going to Jardy. I'm going for all of them. I'm going to go take on this series. She's now accumulated very, very valuable series points. She already has very valuable points in the bag from Chatsworth, from her place in there, but a top place, and this is going to set them up. Expect to see Sarah Cohen and Treason on the fighting at the very end of this Event Rider Master series.
And just look at that shot. 3 female riders on the podium of the Event Rider Masters for the very first time. We had our first female winner at Chatsworth. That was a couple of weeks ago with Gemma Tattersall, but to have the top 3 placings all filled by female riders, Sarah Cohen and Treason for Great Britain, they take the win by a country mile, 46.8, ahead of Julia Kojewski, Chipmunk FRH, 54.2 for Julia on her Event Rider Masters debut, and Sarah Algertson-Ossolt, Reality 39. They complete the top 3 on 55.8. But Porrick, Sarah's cross-country round, Treason gave her a super round. He was taking strides out. She was very, very classy out there.
She was phenomenal, and full credit to her. She rode that like, she was on fire. She meant business from the very beginning. She took every chance that she could, and full credit to her. But what an amazing afternoon. I mean, to see Ingrid running out on a relatively straightforward combination, I mean, it's baffling.
I mean, we saw nobody else had trouble there all day. We would have had our all-female podium anyway. But it is just hard to believe what we saw at the very end with Ingrid. It shows you in sport that nothing is guaranteed. We probably should have learned our lesson from badminton that anything can happen. We saw a couple of horses, both Ingrid being one, but also Michael Young and Sam. We saw shocks that day. We saw a shock today.
It was brilliant. Brilliant afternoon sport and an unbelievable result for Sarah.
Well, the podium has been a hive of activity all afternoon. And let's go down to John, because John, my word, drama to the very end.
Yeah, it certainly has. What an exciting time we've had here at the podium watching the action. And with me on the podium in 3rd place today for Sweden in the 2nd leg of the series with your own and Sarah Sjöberg-Vicks Reality 39, Sarah Algertson-Ossolt. Sarah, tell me about your ride today.
Yeah, I think first of all my show jumping was very good. I'm very pleased with, and then my cross country. I knew it not suit my horse. This course is very twisty and she's very big, but I think she fighted for it. I fighted for it. I didn't ride with a clock because I thought I have to ride as fast as I can. It doesn't matter. And I was a little bit maybe not tough enough because I fell off 4 weeks ago and had an injury, so I didn't dare to take the first distance everywhere. But I'm very, very pleased with my horse, very pleased with my round. Fantastic competition.
Can you believe the drama of the ending?
No, I thought I soon can leave my chair here because I'm not going to be in the top 3. But I'm of course very, very happy, very pleased. Fantastic.
Congratulations, Sarah. We're going to move across now to silver medal on the podium. Julia Krajewski, Olympic silver medalist, who has finished 2nd here with her own and Dr. Maya Kulenkampf's Chipmunk FRH for Germany. Julia, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
But bittersweet, 2nd last year, 2nd again.
Yeah, 2nd is my place. In the last 5 events, I came 2nd. So 2nd is fine.
But it's a different name ahead of you this time. It's quite often been Ingrid. Again, the drama, the excitement at the end. A lot of unexpected problems in the arena on Rudiger's course.
Yeah, I mean, we all knew it's tough, it's technical. People want to go quick, so you might take some risks. My problems were a bit earlier today in the show jumping. Still a bit sad about it because it were like expensive points. But on the other end, he just made up in the cross country now, and I wouldn't have thought I would come 2nd in the end. But I'm very happy about it, and I think it's very exciting to be here. And I'm better 2nd than somewhere down.
It just shows the influence of all 3 tests. But our winner here today for Great Britain, the sole British representative, is Sarah Cohen with Pressy Spark and Liz Jones's Mr. T, Treason. Sarah, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just in shock. I mean, we came here to enjoy it and to be competitive, but I never expected to win it. And I'm just shocked. And poor Miles, Alfie and Charlie, hi at home. They're not even here to celebrate with me, but I'm sure we'll manage it tomorrow if we get home okay. But yeah, he was brilliant out there. He was just fantastic. And I couldn't have done it without my super groom this week, Amanda Bristow. She's been fantastic. She's just a friend because I do it on my own now. And she's just a mate that's come along that used to work for us at Pressy Spark. And she's been fantastic all week, keeping me in order as well because I need nannying a lot as well.
But 3 great tests for you as well. I mean, Treason was the horse the dressage judges basically said that they'd like to take home.
Yeah, he's always had it all there. I was hoping for a PB in the dressage, but I watched the test back and actually really pleased with him, really pleased. You know, this is great having to win because it's putting some money towards having an arena at home. And he was great. The show jumping I was most pleased with, and out there he was just fantastic. He loves his cross country. I know he's really, really fit. I was taking his stride out now and again. I didn't quite mean to, but he just gave me a fantastic ride.
taking strides at your age, Catty. Now, £16,000 you've won here. Tell us about the glamour of your visit to Wiesbaden and how this money might change your life.
Well, it took us 18 hours to get here. We've slept in our little 2-horse lorry all week on the floor on a blow-up bed, and we've had a great time. Yeah, it's been fantastic. Amanda's used to me being a bit disorganised and keeps me in shape as well. So, yeah, and we haven't sort of eaten a lot, done a lot. But we had a great time last night. What a fantastic show the whole event puts on. It was just, I was amazed by it. Fantastic. I just wish the family were here to enjoy it with me. They might come to the next one now.
Yeah, they might do. That'll put the pressure on. Ladies and gentlemen, your top three here, Sarah Algerson-Ostholt, Julia Krajewski and Sarah Cohen in the Event Rider Masters from the Internationales Wiesbaden Pfingstturnier. We're going to go and set up for the award ceremony and throw it back to the studio to analyse this amazing competition.
Well, what a couple of days it has been here in Germany. The first time the Event Rider Masters series has gone into Europe. And it is a British win. Sarah Cohen for Great Britain and Treason. Nearly 8 penalties ahead of the rest of the field, but it is an international top 3 with Great Britain, Germany and Sweden. Julia Krajewski, Sarah Algerson-Ostholt. Important series leaderboard points as well for Bill Levitt in 5th. And Marcio Jorge for Brazil finishing in 8th. But the top 10 here at leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters headed by Great Britain, Sarah Cohen and Treason. Well, we'll go into the series in just a moment and see how that's affected the series, but the rest of the competition, well, this is how it looks. And we'll see all of the action on the cross country. It did cause plenty of problems. And certainly your Kerbal entertained you. He climbed the leaderboard after being 18th going into the show jumping. That good, clear show jumping round. The shock 20 penalties for Don Gennaro. And of course, those late penalties for Ingrid Klimke. But what does this mean for the Event Rider Masters series leaderboard? 7 legs in the series this year. 2 have been completed. And 1 lady is going to be sat at the top of that leaderboard feeling very confident indeed. Sarah Cohen, well, 51 points in total, 30 points for the win here and 21 points for that 6th place finish in leg 1 at Chatsworth. I think she's going on a family holiday to France. Gemma Tattersall, well, she's not here this weekend. She won leg 1 and she'll be hoping to put that in contention come Barbary in July. So that is how the series shapes up at the moment. But I think it's safe to say that it has been really, really exciting here in Wiesbaden. The rest of the leaderboard, Bill Levitt picked up a lot of points here this weekend, 22 points for him, and that comes on the back of that very good 6th placing. So that is how the Event Rider Masters series leaderboard stands. Piggy French, she picked up good points at Chatsworth, but the podium down in the middle of the trade stands here at Wiesbaden. It really is the most incredible of locations in the middle of the Schloss Park at Breibisch Palace, and the dressage all took place on that incredible surface in front of the palace. But John, you're down there at the podium because I think it might be time for that official prize giving.
Well, welcome now, ladies and gentlemen, to the awards ceremony here at the Internationales Wiesbaden Pfingstturnier for leg 2 of the Event Rider Masters. We've just witnessed what has to go down as one of the most extraordinary competitions in the series, and our equine athletes, the horses, are now being meticulously looked after by our ERM super grooms. We now focus on the other stars of the show, the riders in the Event Rider Masters. We welcome our presentation party, the organizer here at the WRFC, Mr. Albert Schaefer, the president of the WRFC, Mrs. Christine Dijkerhoff, and global sponsorship manager for our technology partners, SAP, Aileen Trunk. We also welcome Christopher Stone, founder and chairman of the Event Rider Masters, who will present the Event Horse Owners Association Trophy, and Bill Levitt, Australian Championship rider and selector for the Monarch Select Event Horse Sale, who will present their prize. Less of me, more podium. Ladies and gentlemen, in 3rd place, we welcome onto the podium for Sweden, with our own and Sarah Sjöberg Vix, Reality 3-9, Sarah Algerson-Ostholt. Aileen Trunk of SAP presents the prize money and a magnum of Paul Roger champagne. In second place on the podium, it is for Germany. Silver medalist at the Olympic Games last year, Dr. Maya Kukakav's Chipmunk FRH, Julia Krajewski. The prize money, magnum of champagne, being presented by Albert Schaefer, organizer here at the WRFC. My apologies, Christina Dijkhoff. The winner of the 2017 Event Rider Masters here at Wiesbaden is, from Great Britain, with Liz Jones and Pressy Sparks-Trees, and for Great Britain, Sarah Cohen. Albert Schaefer, organizer here at Wiesbaden, presents the prize money, a magnum of Paul Roger. And here is also the Event Rider Masters check for £16,000 for an almost and unbelievably speechless Sarah Cohen. The Event Horse Owners Association trophy as well will be presented to the rider on behalf of her long-term owners, Pressy Spark and Liz Jones, who supported Treason right from his very youngest days with Sarah Cohen. And Christopher Stone making that presentation on behalf of the Event Horse Owners Association. And Bill Levitt. Bill with the prize also for a 2-night stay at the Monot Hotel in Ireland from Monot Select Event Horse Sales selector Bill Levitt, who was so close to finishing on the podium here today himself. Our thanks to the Monot Elite Event Horse Sale for this award, which is, I know, very gratefully received. Ladies and gentlemen, our thanks to our presentation party here in Wiesbaden, of Albert Schaefer, Christina Dijkhoff, Alien Trunk, Chris Stone and Bill Levitt. And that concludes the action from the 81st edition of the Internationalist Wiesbaden Pfingstturner, the first continental edition of the Event Rider Masters. Join us again on the 8th of July for the next leg of the Event Rider Masters at the St James's Place Barbary International Horse Trials. Thanks, goodbye.
I can't see. Oh, I got me mascara running. Oh, brilliant.